years ago, Esprit de Corps decided to profile 20 top women who were making a positive difference in the world of defense. This was to be a one-off article with the women profiled selected by our own editorial board. The rationale was that there were so many media stories detailing the underrepresentation of women in a male-dominated career field that it would be better to highlight role models who had succeeded despite any challenges. We realize that this year's winners are only a small fraction of the thousands of women who contribute in so many unique ways to the security and military legacy of Canada. Ms. Erica Cogill is a dynamic leader in defense and security, managing strategic initiatives at L3 Harris while serving as Vice President of Community Engagement for Women in Defense and Security. With over 18 years of experience, she has broken through industry norms to forge powerful partnerships, elevate women's leadership, and shape the next generation of defense professionals. A passionate jazz musician and film photographer, Erica brings creativity, heart, and vision to everything she does. This is Sherry Colville. At the time of her nomination, Sherry was working as the Senior Vice President of Operations at Duke Smart Staffing Solutions. Sherry is now the General Manager of Canadian Defense Business at Honeywell. She has been consistently recognized as a trailblazing leader in Canada's defense sector, championing national security through strategic growth and mentorship. With a career shaped by early exposure to military support services and experiences like the Canadian Leaders at Sea program, she has become a passionate advocate for women in defense while inspiring many future leaders. Honorary Colonel Michelle Douglas is a nationally recognized changemaker who has devoted nearly 4 decades to advancing justice, equality, and inclusion within Canada's military. As a young military police lieutenant, Michelle courageously challenged and helped dismantle the Canadian Armed Forces ban on non-heterosexual service members, a historic act that continues to reshape the institution. Today, she serves as the inaugural Honorary Colonel for the Chief Professional Conduct and Culture, while also being the Executive Director of the LGBT Purge Fund. She continues daily to bridge divides between the military, law enforcement, and 2S LGBTQI, plus communities with integrity and purpose. Michelle Douglas. Captain Navy Anek Forton has dedicated nearly 34 years to the Canadian Armed Forces. She rose through the ranks as a naval warfare officer, becoming the first woman to command a Royal Canadian Navy frigate on Canada's west coast, and today leads one of the country's largest military bases, Canadian Forces Base, Halifax. Known for her community involvement, she inspires others, especially women in the military, through her leadership, mentorship, and unwavering dedication to national defense and the people who support it. Ms. Lissa Galadza is a fearless leader in defense and diplomacy. Before joining Global Affairs Canada in 2016, she held key roles across the Departments of National Defense, Treasury Board, Public Safety, Immigration, and the Privy Council Office. At Global Affairs, she broke barriers as Director General of the Peace and Stabilization Operations Program, helping to shape Canada's world-renowned ELSI initiative. From 2019 to 2023, she served as Canada's ambassador to Ukraine, remaining in Kyiv throughout the 2022 Russian invasion and becoming a strong advocating voice for the women in Ukraine's armed forces. Lissa went on to lead the Canada-U.S. Engagement Task Force and is now bringing her expertise to cyber policy within the International Security and Political Affairs branch of Global Affairs. Brigadier General Vanessa Hanahan's career has progressed from Sea Cadet to now leading over 1,600 personnel as Canada's Chief of Military Police. She broke barriers as the Provost Marshal for the United Nations mission in South Sudan, overseeing the security and operational safety requirements for one of the world's most demanding peacekeeping missions. A fierce advocate for inclusion, mentorship, and well-being, Vanessa chairs the Military Police Fund for Blind Children and is a strong champion for women in uniform, embodying a leadership style that is both bold and compassionate. Retired RCMP Assistant Commissioner Tracy Hardy has spent over 3 decades breaking down barriers for women in law enforcement, rising through the ranks of the RCMP while leading international efforts to advance gender equality and officer mental health in Ukraine. From founding the first Ukrainian Association of Women in Law Enforcement to developing a nationwide peer support program during wartime, Her leadership has been transformative and inspirational to many nations. Major Barbara Helms, the first Muslim female chaplain in the Canadian Armed Forces, has redefined military chaplaincy by championing multi-faith care, cultural understanding, and spiritual resilience. A pioneer on the global stage, she has shattered barriers for women and religious minorities in uniform while mentoring others and shaping inclusive practices across the forces. Fluent in 4 languages and featured multiple times in national media, the Padre is not only a compassionate presence, but a bold force for systemic change. Colonel Margaret Jakula has spent nearly 30 years breaking barriers in the Royal Canadian Air Force as a pioneering aerospace engineer, leader, and advocate for women in aviation. From operational excellence on deployments to spearheading national centennial celebrations and youth outreach initiatives, her career exemplifies leadership, mentorship, and a lasting commitment to inclusivity in Canada's military and aerospace sectors. Today, Maggie works for Transport Canada while also serving within the Chief of Reserves Office and as an aide-de-camp to the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. Sergeant Wendy Lafrenir is a respected, non-commissioned leader currently excelling in her trade as Mobile Support Equipment Operator at 8 Wing Trenton. A proud member of the Mohawk Nation, she joined the Canadian Armed Forces through the Indigenous Entry Program. Wendy broke new ground by designing and spearheading the now official initiative that encourages CAF members to wear a beaded poppy on Indigenous Veterans Day. A mother of 3 and active member of the Defense Aboriginal Advisory Group, she is known for her resilience and ability to transform personal adversity into progress for Indigenous cultural inclusion across the military. Captain Navy, retired. MarieFrance Long is a decorated defense leader and trailblazer for women in uniform. Her 45-year career has taken her from Naval Reserve clerk to senior public servant. She co-founded the Joint Personnel Support Unit, commanded numerous key administrative operations, and championed innovative programs for ill and injured personnel, shaping national transition policy for military personnel and their families. A recipient of the Order of Military Merit and the Meritorious Service Medal, she now leads policy development for the Canadian Armed Forces Transition Group and founded the Smiles for Seniors initiative, which brings dignity and joy to veterans in long-term care. Captain retired. Kathy Priestman has been breaking barriers in and out of uniform for over 3 decades. Presently, she is the Director of Operations at the Pepper Pod Retreat Center for Women Veterans in Chelsea, Quebec. Prior to that, she was a logistics officer in the Canadian Armed Forces, where she became the first woman cadet wing training officer at the Royal Roads Military College and first woman fleet manager deployed on the Multinational Force and Observers Peacekeeping Force in Egypt. Kathy continues to use her business degree and knowledge to help mentor other women veterans to become successful entrepreneurs and has emceed countless veteran-related events. A multi-award-winning community leader, she has built a lasting legacy of resilience, advocacy, and positive impact. Leading seaman, retired. Naen Schultz Nielsen's military career started as a sonar operator before moving on to become a flight attendant with 437 Squadron. Her greatest impact emerged after confronting her own experience of military sexual misconduct, together with the devastating loss of her close peer and friend, Corporal MarieFrance Long. Agreeing to become one of the lead plaintiffs in the Hyder-Beatty class action lawsuit, her courage helped to secure a $900 million settlement and drive significant reforms within the Canadian Armed Forces and Veterans Affairs. Today, she continues to champion the voices of MST survivors and influence national policy as the class member representative on the final settlement agreement oversight committee, all while balancing her role as a sought-after speaker, advisor, and mother of 2. Captain retired. Wendy Su is truly a trailblazer. As a participant in the Swinter program for service women in non-traditional environments and roles, Wendy was the only woman in her aircrew trials flight training class. She was the second woman to ever fly the C-130 Hercules, completing many global missions, including into active conflict zones. She broke barriers not just at 30,000 feet, but on the ground as well. Today, she continues to serve with distinction as the Assistant Defense Attaché at the Netherlands Embassy, where her commitment to transatlantic military collaboration and diplomatic insight continues to make her a force multiplier on the global stage. Lieutenant Colonel Natasha Skidmore is the current commanding officer of the 4th Artillery Regiment, where she is leading the charge on Army modernization through the integration of cutting-edge capabilities like uncrewed aerial systems and air defense. As one of the few women qualified as both an artillery instructor in gunnery and a joint terminal air controller, she has broken through long-standing barriers in one of the most technically demanding roles of the combat arms. From close air support in Afghanistan to leading capability deployments to Latvia, Natasha is a visionary leader whose unit is now recognized as the face of Canadian Army innovation. Petty Officer Second Class Kate Stewart is blazing trails in the Canadian Armed Forces, not only as a diver, but also a tactical operator and instructor, currently serving with distinction across several elite units, including the Skyhawks parachute team. One of the few women to qualify as lead instructor in naval tactical operations, and as a conduct after capture instructor, she continues to shatter barriers in some of the military's most demanding domains. Beyond Kate's clear operational excellence, she founded the internationally recognized Shoot Like a Girl podcast, which spotlights amazing military women from around the world, helping to inspire the next generation to consider a life in uniform. Lieutenant Colonel Khloe Somefield is the commanding officer of the Canadian Army's oldest and arguably most combat-ready armored regiment, the Royal Canadian Dragoons. With 24 years of service, she has become the first woman to command a regiment within the Royal Canadian Armored Corps. Having multiple overseas deployments, including to Afghanistan and Libya, and being dual qualified as a forward air controller and armored officer, she leads with tactical excellence and strategic insight, making her not only a groundbreaker, but a true force multiplier on the battlefield. Major Joelle Thorreson presently works as the Aeromedical Program's flight surgeon, which includes serving as the medical director for the Search and Rescue and Strategic Aeromedical Evacuations programs at 1 Canadian Air Division in Winnipeg. She has deployed with fighter operations on OP Reassurance and earned the top resident award in the U.S. Navy's Residency in Aerospace Medicine program. When she isn't improving the aeromedical standards for women aircrew or advancing Indigenous health practices into military medicine and research, you'll find her either lifting heavy in the gym or making use of her commercial IFR flying license in her Piper Cherokee. Joelle loves to mentor youth, encouraging them to explore career pathways in defense, where women can lead in science, aviation, and national service. Ms. Anuvedia is a trailblazing leader in Canada's aerospace and defense sector, currently spearheading innovation and strategic growth as Director of Business Development and Growth at Artfield. From earning her engineering degree in India to leading high-impact projects like the Remotely Piloted Aircraft Systems Center of Excellence in Quebec and CF-35 sustainment, she continues to break barriers and drive advancements in Canada's defense modernization, including in space and cybersecurity. Always up for a challenge, Anu not only leads global defense initiatives and mentors the next generation of women leaders, but also learned to swim in her 40s and ski in her 50s, proving that bold, fearless leadership knows no limits. Master Corporal retired, Jazelle Drew Walsh, a former Army infantry soldier, Jazelle has proven that veteran advocacy can be bold, visible, and unapologetically well-styled. From Veterans Voices TV to the Breaking Dress Regs podcast and her board role with the Canadian Institute of Military Veteran Health Research, she uses every platform made available to her to challenge stigma around veteran mental health, especially PTSD, and to amplify the voices of military families. In 2024, she broke new ground as the first veteran to win a national beauty title and is currently the reigning Mrs. Canada Universe. No matter the stage she's on, she is a powerful voice for veteran advocacy. Esprit de Corps would like to thank our sponsors, Commissionaires, Beechwood, Arkfield Canada, Kongsberg Geospatial, MDA Space, Blackridge Defense, Saab, David Pratt & Associates, and Guthrie Woods, who without them, this event could not be possible.